that house, are you, first wife, going to stand in Yahweh's way? Can I hear a good amen?
Amen.
Yeah, when Yahweh talks about these things, it's always based on rachamim and mercy, not about sex. Sex is a byproduct, but it's not the motivating factor. We cannot reject and condemn patriarchal marriage because it doesn't feel right. I mean, listen carefully, because you're not going to get this in future weeks. You're going to hang on every word, so hang on it while the words are going out. We cannot reject or condemn patriarchal or plural marriage because it doesn't feel right. We must be led by Yahweh's instructions. We must be led by Yahweh's allowances recorded in His Word. The merciful instructions have been given to us as a safeguard for children in a plural marriage so that the children don't lose their inheritance. Another reason we see here, Yahweh wants the firstborn to keep his firstborn status, is so the children don't lose their inheritance because the father fell in love with number two and forgot about his mother. Yahweh protects the children. Yahweh wants to make sure the child has that inheritance. So what is patriarchal marriage all about? It's Yahweh caring for the wife, Yahweh caring for the husband, and Yahweh caring for the children. Can I hear a good amen?
Amen.
He doesn't want that child to lose his inheritance because the father just walks off and starts hating one of the women or his mother. This is Yahweh's merciful instructions. Safeguarding the children in a patriarchal marriage family as well. Hopefully, turn to your neighbor and say hopefully.
Hopefully.
Not hopefully, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, all wives and those who are called to this relationship, this lifestyle, will be loved, treasured, nurtured, and made to feel very special to be married to a righteous priest in Israel. Someone asked me, what would happen if I had 2 or 3 wives and they were bickering and complaining and go, what would I do? Someone asked me, hypothetically, what would I do? I would do what you're supposed to do as a priest of the home. I sit them down in the living room and I say, now look, I'm the priest of the home. I'm responsible for what's going on here. This will not continue. You will learn to be selfless. You will learn to share. You will learn to consider the other better than yourself. And I will also learn that, but I won't allow any catfighting and any yelling and bickering. Not in this house, because you're both going to be out. There's not going to be anyone loved, and there's not going to be anyone hated. Both y'all are going to get out.
That's right.
That'll solve that problem very quick.
Exactly.
In other words, men, do what you're supposed to do and be priests of the home.
Exactly.
Baruch Hashem
Amen.
Yahweh. And women, be submissive and say, yes, you are my priest. I receive your correction. Changing the subject. But before we change the subject to stoning, I want to say something. Remember where we began this message? Bruno, remember where we began this message? Talking about the 613 mitzvot?
Yes.
Brothers and sisters, listen very carefully. What I've just read to you is what the rabbis count as part of the 613. So, Ray, when they say to you, well, Rabbi's into this thing now, but it's not a commandment. Yes, it is if we count the mitzvahs like the rabbis count them.
Exactly.
Do you see the amazing thing that I'm sharing here? In other words, what you ought to be saying is marriage is not one of the 10 commandments. True?
True.
Don, is that true? Marriage is not one of the 10 commandments. Is that true? That's true. But it is one of the 613. Because what we've just read in verses what? In verses 11 through Deuteronomy, Devarim 21, verses 11 through 15, these Torahs are counted among the 613. Can you believe this stuff, man? I never knew any of this stuff. You follow me, Raina? They say, oh, you know, marriage is not a commandment. Plural marriage is not a commandment. Is that true? Yes or no? It is part of the 613. It's not part of the 10. But as long as you're going to count all the other things like burying your excrement with a shovel. When the Torah says bury your excrement outside the camp with a shovel, that's counted in the 613. We've just read at least 3 or 4 commandments, if we count them as part of the 613. Go and check me out on any website. What they ought to be saying, if they want to be critical, they ought to be saying, well, plural marriage is not in the 10 commandments. That's what they should be saying. You know what my response would be? Neither is monogamy in the 10 commandments. Now go into the cave and don't play with those things. And be celibate. They're going to change their tune very quickly, won't they? You with me, Vincent?
All right, now.
You understand? Marriage is not part of the 10 commandments. But plural marriage and monogamous marriage are part of the 613. So before you start criticizing, saying it's not a commandment, you better be careful what you're saying and make sure you know what you're saying.
Amen.
Boy, I'm preaching good today. I think I may go home and listen to this myself.
Or watch it.
Look at verse 18. Now we change the subject. Now remember, the message again is Rachamim invades captivity. What's the name? Rachamim, today's Parsha, Rachamim invades captivity. Devarim 21:18. If a man has a stubborn and rebellious son, who will not obey the voice of his Abba or the voice of his Ima, mother and father, and that when they have disciplined him, will not listen to them, then shall his Abba and his Ima lay hold of him and bring him out to the Zechenim, the elders of the city, and to the gate of its place. And they shall say to the Zechenim of his city, the elders, this our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He's also fat and he drinks. He is a glutton and he is a drunkard. Now, please note, and people say to me, I got a couple of emails over the last few years and say, well, or even the last few weeks, if you want us to believe that this patriarchal marriage is for today, then I suppose stoning is for today. You know what my answer is?
Yep.
You're about to find out my answer. You follow me? Well, if this patriarchal marriage stuff is for all times, because Yeshua never changes. So people say to me, well, if I'm going to accept all the marriage options that Yahweh gives us as Israel, then I suppose I have to accept stoning. Here's my response. Please note that in verses we just read, this is not a commandment for automatic stoning. This is going to blow you away, so pay attention. This instruction implies a lifelong or long-term pattern of rebellion, gluttony, and drunkenness. It's not a first time you don't obey kind of instruction. So first we have the mercy of many opportunities to turn and repent. Now more mercy. Let me read it again, you'll see that. So when Yahweh says that there's a rebellious child, Deuteronomy 21:18. Now look at the many opportunities they had to turn and repent. Let's read it together. Everyone has their Bible? Does everyone have their restoration scriptures? Or are some folks looking into outer space? Verse 18. If a man has a stubborn and rebellious son, who will not obey the voice of his father or his mother, that when they have disciplined him, he will not listen. Now that connotates a continuing discipline. It's not a one-time offense. Oh my gosh, he disobeyed, let's kill him. This can go on for 5 years. This can go on for 6 years. This can be a conditional, terminal, rebellious son. You follow me, Rebbe and Rivka? This is not, oh, he didn't listen to mom, so let's just take him out and stone his butt. This connotates that they have disciplined him for a long period of time, and no matter what they do over many months and years, he will not listen. Then his parents shall take him, bring him to the elders of the city. Okay, so there's mercy number 1. He doesn't get stoned for a first offense. Mercy number 2, you don't stone him. If you think your son has been rebellious, fat, and gluttonous, and refused to obey your voice in your home, under your roof, and now it's going on 8 or 9 or 10 years, you still can't touch that child. That's rachamim. Because in your natural flesh, in your natural anger, you want to stone that child right away and make him pay for his behavior. Yahweh says, number one, it's got to be not a one-time offense. Number two, you can never lay a hand on that child. This is rachamim.